continue our coverage this half hour of the unprecedented moment in our nation's history.
Donald Trump is now the first former U.S. president to face a federal indictment. The charges stem from his alleged mishandling of classified documents after leaving the White House.
Now, Trump is set to appear in federal court in Miami on Tuesday, where he will be booked and processed as a federal defendant before he faces the judge. Among the charges, violating the Espionage Act. ABC News has learned prosecutors have an audio recording of Trump where he admits to retaining secret documents that he had not declassified before leaving office. We have live team coverage on the new indictment and reaction. We begin with ABC's Justin Finch, live in Washington with the very latest. Justin.
David, former President Donald Trump now preparing for his biggest legal battle yet, all as he fights to clinch a third Republican presidential nomination. A landmark decision from the federal grand jury voting to indict former President Donald Trump in the special counsel probe into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified records. Trump now the first current or former U.S. president to face federal charges. Sources telling ABC News Trump faces at least 7 counts, including illegal retention of government documents regarding national security, conspiracy, and obstruction of the government's efforts to retrieve those documents. The former president long insisting he's done nothing wrong, declaring his innocence in a social media video.
I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly. Thank you very much.
Sources tell ABC News federal prosecutors have obtained a 2021 Trump audio recording in which he allegedly admits taking classified records after leaving the White House. Trump allegedly heard saying, "As president, I could have declassified, but now I can't." The former president and the National Archives were locked into a months-long dispute over whether he returned all government records as required by law. A federal judge later authorized an FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, which turned up more than 100 classified records last August, even after Trump's lawyers said all were returned.
The whole country knows the basic notion of unequal treatment and fairness, and that's what's at issue with this prosecution.
And Trump did thank Jim Trusty, the lawyer you heard from there, and a second lawyer for their counsel so far on his social media platform, but he has dismissed them. The lawyers calling this a logical moment to let others carry the cases to completion. And ABC News has learned Trump aide Walt Nauta is also facing indictment from the special counsel. In Washington, Justin Finch, Channel 7 Eyewitness News. David, Charlene, back to you.
Justin, thanks so much for that. So what's next for Donald Trump? ABC's Aaron Katersky continues our coverage from Miami, where Trump is set to appear in court on Tuesday.
Charlene, David, former President Trump is going to come here to be formally arrested, then processed and booked as a federal defendant before he appears before a judge to enter a not guilty plea to these criminal charges. And at that point, the full scope of the indictment should become clear. But already we're hearing of a shakeup in former President Trump's legal team. 2 of his attorneys who'd been representing him in this case, including Jim Trusty, who appeared on ABC's Good Morning America just this morning to deny the former president's role in any criminal conduct, has offered his resignation along with his partner, John Rowley. The former president said on social media he will be appointing new attorneys soon. We expect one of them to be Todd Blanche, who also represents the former president in the criminal case in Manhattan brought by District Attorney Alvin Bragg. We have also learned in the last little while that an aide to former President Trump named Walt Nauta has also been criminally charged in connection with the classified documents case. What specific charges he faces, what alleged role he played, have not been made clear, but we expect that he too would appear here for an arraignment, and we should know the scope of the charges against him then. He served as a White House valet, more recently as a personal aide to the former president, and the special counsel has been investigating anybody who may have had access to those classified materials in unsecure locations and anyone who may have had a role in moving them around.